What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Foster Effect. My name is John Widrick. I have always the pleasure of having our co-host Jennifer Gallagher in the house. But more importantly, today we have the famous Carrie DuRard, the co-founder of Jonathan's Path. What an amazing organization. Carrie, just first off, want to honor you, your family for what you are doing in the state of Tennessee as it relates to children and youth aging out of foster care. Just so honored to have you. I know your schedule is jam packed, but you took a little time out today, which we're so honored to have you. And man, just maybe tell everybody a little bit about who you are, and then we'd love to hear just like what is Jonathan's Path, and then we'll start kind of getting into how did this whole thing start, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for having me, and of course the work that you guys do as well, bringing light to a topic that most people don't know a lot about in our state, but more people
Hmm.
need to know about.
Yes.
We started Jonathan's Path about 4 years ago, and it is focused on teenagers that are in foster care and those that are aging out of foster care.
Right.
So, big statistic that we'll just start off with is 80% of the teenagers that age out of our foster care system become homeless, trafficked, addicted, incarcerated, or dead within the first year.
Yeah.
That statistic is not okay.
Yeah.
So we started Jonathan's Path for two main reasons. One is to be what we have is called the Pathline, and it is a gap services. It's a one-stop shop where kids, social workers, foster parents can call and say, "My teen needs this."
Yeah.
And we know that the state is overwhelmed, and so time to action sometimes can be too slow
Yeah. For
for
sure.
our kids, right? If they need to go to the doctor, or if they need a new pair of shoes because they got on the basketball team. We're
Mhm.
going to do this pretty quickly, right? Within the
Yeah.
few days, we're going to get that appointment. We're going to have those shoes. But for our youth in foster care, for our teens in foster care, or bright futures, that can take weeks and
Right.
months. And so the path line is designated for them to call, raise their hand and say, "I need," and let's figure out how to
Mm.
meet that need if it's possible, and how quickly we can meet that need.
Yes.
And the second part, which is really how it all started, is all about housing stabilization.
Yes.
So, my husband and I started fostering about 7, 8 years ago.
Oh
We
wow.
focused on teenage boys. We had a teenage boy in the house, so that was an easy route for us. And I'm just not a small human person. I like my big humans. So we focused on
Awesome.
teens,
Mm.
and the teens that came into our home, learned very quickly. They were we were their 8th stop for the year. One time we
Oh
were their 20th stop
my
Wow.
for
gosh.
the year. And so the
Right.
teens bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. And we're like, how can you stabilize anything in your life when you're living out of a suitcase, not knowing where you're going to be landing next?
Yeah.
Um, and yet we expect and anticipate and want these teens to stabilize, become great community citizens when they age out, when they turn
Right.
18.
Right.
And we expect them to have all the normal behaviors because we're giving them all the services.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I was like, what? Time out.
Mm.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
When we move our kids a
Hmm.
school or to a new house, I mean, it's an unrest. And so if you're doing it every week,
Right.
wow, can you imagine?
Yeah.
So that's why we started Jonathan's Path, because we saw firsthand as foster parents
Hmm.
what was happening to our teens in foster care, what the options were, which is not a lot because
Hmm.
there's not enough homes to take foster children in. We have about 8,200 in our state, less than 5,000 homes last time I checked, and then
Hmm.
a smaller fraction of those that would even accept teenagers for permanent placement.
Right.
When we started, we were the only home in Williamson County that would accept a teenage boy for permanent placement.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we sat down at the kitchen table on the back of a napkin and was like, okay, how can we do this with our skill set and not play outside of an area that we don't know a lot about? what can we do that we know we can accomplish? And that's how Jonathan's path started.
Wow. That's incredible.
Wow.
When you guys, first off, I love that you guys have saw it firsthand. You stepped into a place not necessarily saying, "Hey, we want to start a nonprofit for the sake of starting a nonprofit," but you obviously brought in a kiddo in your own home. Like you said, 20th uh, transitions in his life, which is absolutely insane. I can't even imagine that. I've had maybe 4 or 5 in my life and come from a great family, and even those had so many hardships on it with having the support that we had, like you already mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, where did Jonathan's Path name come from? What's the story behind that? I'm sure there's significance to that. As you guys kind of started kicking this journey off and really wanting to create some change, awareness, and like you said, housing stability and things like that.
Yeah. So we adopted our son Taylor from foster care.
Okay.
He moved into our house right before his 16th birthday, and we were finally able to adopt him at the age of 18. And Taylor had a brother named Jonathan.
Mm,
Jonathan and Taylor lived in their with their bio father and stepmother.
okay.
Unfortunately, Jonathan passed away due to the abuse and neglect in the home.
Oh my
So
gosh.
when we started this journey of how can we make this better, Taylor was with us at that time, and of course
Mhm,
we sat down and said, what if we named it in honor of Jonathan? Because if the boys had come into foster care together, if he had
mhm,
survived, they probably would not have stayed together, just because two teenage boys being in the same house doesn't
mhm.
usually happen.
Right.
And so we're like, there's got to be a better way. So it's really in the honor of the love and spirit that he has,
Wow.
that Taylor would tell us about all the time, and knowing that we need to do a better job when they do come in the system to give them that stabilization that is needed.
Wow.
Man, what a story. My gosh. Now, from what I've seen online, Taylor is part of this organization as well too. Is that correct?
Yeah, so he, of course, helped co-found it.
Yeah.
He has been extremely busy. He just graduated from David Lipscomb University and
Wow,
is
good for
now
him.
working he's going to kill me because I can't ever remember the exact terminology here, but working with our state legislator in the finance department. So he
Wow.
is giving back um, in ways that still shock me as his mom. So
Wow.
he's a
That's
dream.
awesome.
That's incredible. It's amazing
I know you're
truly
so
when you
proud.
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. I mean, yeah, that's incredible.
That
Um,
is.
it's amazing when you give opportunity um to these leaders that I love to call them leaders, because they are,
Mm.
they're leaders.
Yeah.
I hate kind of defining them as maybe what they have been told or
Yeah.
but I always communicate that to them like, hey, when you give opportunity to these leaders that have aged out of foster care, I mean, it's crazy the resilience and the things that they accomplish, like the
Yeah.
drive that they have. Honestly, sometimes I'm like, dude, you guys have more drive than most adults that are in their 30s. It's like,
It's so
my
true.
goodness. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Taylor is just crushing it, and just making huge waves. That does not surprise me. Um,
Mhm.
kind of circling back, I know you guys mentioned the Pathline, which I love. I mean, what a great resource for people to call into and be able to expedite needs that they have in the life of these kids. Tell me a little bit about kind of some future things that you guys are doing, because I know that you guys are doing some unique things as it relates to housing in the state of Tennessee, where you kind of had some innovation as it relates to expanding off of the path line into more stable housing. I think you just had a ribbon cutting on one of your houses, and just love to kind of hear about that. What houses you currently have, and kind of how that kind of came to pass.
Yeah. I think this is probably the thing I'm most proud of because it's been the goal from day one, but it's the hardest to achieve.
Hmm.
And so we've always had this dream of a progressive housing model. And I'll start backwards at the phase 3, which is where we want the teens to become, right? In their own
Hmm.
apartments, paying
Yep.
their own bills, have the transportation they need to get to the good paying job, not rather than finding whatever is closest. So that's the goal. So phase 3 is oftentimes they can't get into those apartments because you have to have a guarantor. You have no rental history.
Mhm.
Um, the entry fees, I mean, the entry fees alone
Yeah,
are
crazy.
tough. And so what we do is we work with the individuals that are ready, and we put on our parenting classes, right? So if you're making $12 an hour and working 15 hours a week, that's not going to be enough. But let's figure
Right.
out how to get you where you want to go.
Mhm.
So for those that are ready, we work with them to pay those fees. That first month's rent,
Mhm.
security deposit, rent application, whatever it may take, and get them into that first apartment.
It's great.
We have kids that have soared once they have been in,
Wow.
and really just never looked back, which is the goal. So that's phase
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is I call it independent living with training wheels. So we rent houses back from community members, and then we rent the rooms to the youth at a very discounted rate. So we have a home in Smyrna right now where the bedrooms range from 450 to 600 a month.
Mhm.
Extremely reasonable. We
Yeah.
furnish the whole thing, including their bedrooms. So when they are done and ready to move on to the next phase, they can take their first set of bedroom furniture with them.
It's great.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
here we get to say, driver's license? No?
Mhm.
Okay, let's figure that out. Most of the kids who age out of foster care into bright futures do not have a driver's license.
Right.
Most don't get it until their 20s, 21, but they need it much, much earlier.
Mhm.
We talk about jobs, we talk about budgeting because they have to pay rent, they have to pay it
Mhm.
on time. Whereas other independent living homes usually take their monthly stipend as rent,
Right.
which is great. And I totally understand why.
Sure. Sure.
The hurdle I see is once they get done with that living community, they still don't know how to pay bills.
Mhm.
And so they age out at 23 now,
Mhm.
and they're trying to go out on their own, but they still don't know how to pay a bill because their rent has always been taking out of their stipend.
Right.
So we're like, okay, we're going to have to do this differently because we need you to learn how to do this earlier
Mhm.
so that when you age out, you're more prepared.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
phase 2. Phase 1, that's for teens that are in foster care that we know that will be aging out that do not have that family support system. So return to family is not part of their plan.
Right.
This home that we just had the ribbon cutting in
Yes.
Murfreesboro, it's a 5-bedroom home with only 3 teenagers in it.
Okay.
We are very careful about putting no more than 3 teens in a house. Same thing for
Mhm.
our phase 2 home.
That's good.
We think when you get more than that, it becomes a group home.
Mhm.
The group home mentality and statistically doesn't perform as well as we hoped it would.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have the statistics that it's really preparing the youth that we want to prepare. So
Yeah.
the Murfreesboro home has a couple that we have hired to live there 24/7, 365, like foster parents, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the big difference. When the foster parents, or we call them house parents, when our house parents are done with their service, 1, 3, 5, 10 years,
Mhm.
they move out and our kids stay put.
Mm.
So our kids don't bounce if our house parents are done with their wonderful service.
Wow.
That
That's good.
bouncing ends. Once you get into a path home, your bouncing is done.
Mm.
The only time that you would have to be removed is if the behaviors escalate so much that
Right.
it's beyond our abilities. But we are focusing on the level 2, low level 3 youth, which are harder
Right.
to place.
Right.
So we're focusing on that. The other big thing is when they turn 18, guess what? They don't have to move.
Right.
What a concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get to have a birthday party. We get to celebrate that coming of age, but we do not believe that you are an adult at 18.
Mm.
I know technically you are,
Right.
but we know most of these kids are not emotionally 18.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
know that they have not been prepared to be 18, and it's going to take a little bit more time before they're ready to go to that phase 2.
Yes.
So at 18, congratulations, you're
Mhm.
18. Let's
Yeah.
just enjoy that fact and take away that pending eviction notice off the table.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. I love that.
I
Jen,
love
thoughts
that.
on that? I know your mind is
Yeah,
probably spinning right now. Jen got to go to the
I
ribbon cutting. I was
am. I
jealous. I had a prior engagement and couldn't
did.
go, but yeah, she got to go.
It was beautiful, beautiful home. Love it, love it.
Mhm.
I did think of something as you were talking. So is tell me, so these kids are already reunification is off the table. If the house parents wanted to adopt, what does that look like there?
They can adopt.
Awesome. Awesome. I love
We're not going to
this.
stand in the way of love. Like, let me just be
I
very
love
clear.
this. I
Like,
know. I'm like, this is so cool.
if there's a cosmic connection, then by all means, who are we to stand in the way? And I will tell
Yeah.
you that the family, Jennifer, and you met them, Amy and Alan
They
Havers.
were great.
My wish list of what we wanted to be in the first path home, the skill set, the heart, the
Mhm.
commitment, the desire to stay with the kids.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, check, check, check. We hit the jackpot. So we're
So good.
extremely excited.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So your kids in phase 1, what does that how do you if is it those same kids in phase 1 that transition over to phase 2, or are you taking kids through the path line into phase 2, or a combination of both?
It's a combination. So you can come into any phase depending on what your readiness is. And so, Julicia, our program director, and Brooke, our housing manager, they work with the youth that call in and say, "Hey, I need housing." Okay, great.
Mhm.
What kind of housing are you ready for? So if you're over 18, you would qualify for phase 2, phase 3, which we call Path Forward and Path Beyond. If you were in the foster care system, then you are only qualified for the path home. And so
Gotcha.
it depends on age. Are you in Bright Futures? Are you in, active custody foster care? And then where you are in your journey. So we're going to try to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
We are very careful to say, you may not be prepared at this point to be in Path Beyond the
Mhm.
apartments.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
let's see what we can do to get you there. So it's never a
Yeah.
no. It's let's figure it out together.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
good. Yeah, that's really good.
Going back to your path line, how do you, as far as resources, do you guys utilize like Care Portal, volunteers, combination of both? What does that look like?
Yes, yes, and absolutely yes. It really does take a village. We really love to partner with other organizations. TAC, Tennessee Alliance for Kids, Care Portal, local community churches, anyone that's willing to raise their hand. We're going to accept the help. We are a
Mm.
small
Yeah.
organization. We spend the majority of our dollars outside of our small team. Every penny goes back to the kids.
Yeah.
And we have a very high burn rate because we have a lot of kids coming in and a lot of help. And we're the only organization that says, we're going to figure this out. We understand the need. But we also work with DCS to say, okay, this is a need. I know that this is available to them. Let's figure out the timing of this. If it doesn't work, then we'll take over. If it does work, then we'll work with the youth to make sure we stabilize. So it is an active conversation with our partners
Mhm.
all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Same thing with Viable. Like we work with them on career placement and career guidance and um, volunteers. I just don't know where we would be without volunteers. The
Yeah,
volunteers
truly.
can be directed with our youth. We just started a birthday cake delivery.
Oh, I love
So
that.
there's an
That's cool.
organization that will deliver the cakes to us, and then we take them to our teens on their birthday,
Wow.
which is a rare occasion that, most of our kids don't get to celebrate. So
Yes.
we rely on our volunteers quite a bit.
Yeah, for
Wow.
sure. That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. I
So
love
the
it.
path home, when they're kind of going back to the house parents. So the house parents, just so I want to make sure I understand it and our community understands it too. You did a great job communicating that. So the house parents can or stay there for a duration of time, and then obviously they at some point that if they feel like, hey, this kind of calling is coming to an end, and we're going to transition out these kids that are now 18. They can still stay there. There would not be another house parent there at that point. They're able to kind of just basically have a house that's their home and they can live, they can develop and grow and start just kind of their journey. Am I hearing that right?
So, kind of, we still want a
Okay.
house parent in there at all times.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if we have kids, and I doubt we would have all three kids at 18 at the same time, because that's,
Right,
I- I'm going to assume that our first three kids that will be coming in August are going to be of different ages.
right.
So
That
we'll
makes
always
sense.
have a house parent there. But we really, someone asked me the other day, well, do they get to stay until they're 40? No, and neither will my own kids get to stay until they're 40.
Right, right, right.
Um,
That's hilarious.
and what we know, most of our kids don't want to stay there till they're 40 anyway.
Right, right, right,
So just like our own kids, we want to work with them and prepare them. Their driver's license, we want them to have that at 16.
right.
We're going to make sure that they have that career job experience starting earlier. We want them
Yes.
to be a part of the community and doing volunteer work. We want them to be engaged in sports and activities after school. So the things that really do build that foundation
Uh-huh.
will accelerate them. So when they're
Mhm.
18, 19, 20, they're ready.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny, the questions that people ask when you start something new, they just kind of like pick everything apart. And you want to do your best to be educated to it, but at the same time, you're like, goodness gracious, people, you understand that when you start something new, like you don't have every answer, or just the random thing, can they stay there till they're 95? It's like,
Yeah.
No,
well,
but we always
no.
think about it. What would we do for our kids?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I have the same standards. The team
Yeah,
has the same standards.
yeah,
And this is the first program of its kind in our state. So our state
yeah,
doesn't have a house like the Path Home. It
yeah,
is the first.
yeah, yeah.
And we hope it's going to continue to flourish. We already have plans on our second home, which is
So great.
amazing and incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we know stabilizing these kids early is going to make all the difference in the world in their success.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
was your go ahead, Jen. I want to hear from you.
I was gonna say, I know you touched on this a little bit at the ribbon cutting that you had some other potential house parents. Would love to know other people that may be listening how they can apply to be a house parent if that's something
Mm,
that they feel led to do.
that's great.
Yes. Oh, what a great question. Go to our website. So as soon as we'll make announcements, first thing is to sign up for our not newsletters, it's announcements and events and
Mhm.
all the great things. And so once we have solidified where that second home is, then we'll start our search. And so we'll make sure that our database and our social media, so you follow us on social media as well, and we'll say, okay, calling all house parents. And that is when anyone can apply. It does not have to be a couple. We like having couples because we like
Mm,
having that dynamic, and we understand
Yeah.
sometimes our youth have never had that dynamic, but by no
mhm,
means would we say no to single parent.
mm. That's
That's
good.
great.
That's really interesting. And these are couples that are already foster parents, correct? So or they either can onboard and then become a foster parent, go through it, and then they could potentially apply, or they're already foster parents or have been, and that would be acceptable too, obviously.
Yeah, we do want them to have experience.
Yeah.
So either this state or a different state, we want them to have experience with teenagers because we are dealing with, like I said, those level twos, the level three youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the behaviors may be a bit more accelerated than the kids that you raised. And unless you understand the traumas, how to be that investigator of what's behind that behavior and have
Hmm.
that patience to really investigate, it would be not a smart move just to have someone new come in. So we want
Sure.
the
Sure.
experience there. We want to make sure that we support them with the additional knowledge that they need as well.
It's great. It's great.
I
Man,
love
that's
that.
incredible. Wow. Walk me through kind of the journey with the state. So obviously, this is only as good as the involvement of the state shaking hands and saying, "Hey, we want to do this too." What's that journey been like for you all?
I could not have scripted a better partnership, actually.
Mm,
From day one, I took the idea to Commissioner Quinn and I said, I have this, hi, I have this wild idea that I'd like to pitch to you.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that she was in office for about 6 months by the time I met her.
Okay.
And she looked at me, she goes, "This is what we need." She
Mm.
goes, "How quickly can you move?" I said, "Well, this is a paper. This is,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have funding. I know what is needed. I know can I execute, but it's
Mhm.
going to take me some time." The state has been supportive from day one.
So good. I love
That's
that.
Not
great.
just the commissioner, but also our legislators got behind us this year with the state appropriation. But they're willing to understand that there's got
Mhm.
to be a different approach. And
Yeah.
everyone is saying, let's do this together.
Yeah, that's so good. I love hearing that. I think it's so good for our community to hear that because, we always talk about how, the media is going to regularly highlight planes that crash versus planes that land regularly. And, we have
Mm,
millions of people flying all the time with beautiful landings and there's no problem. You have that one crash, and of course, that's the one that blows up. And I think when it comes to the state, it's kind of the same thing. So, you'll see all these things on the state of how there's mismanagement of funds, or there's this caseworker who did this, but there's so many good things that these individuals are doing, and they care so deeply, and they're some of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life, and the sacrifice that they make for even what they get from a monetary return is insane, and yet they do it for years and years and years. And so I love
Yeah.
anytime someone's willing to celebrate our state workers. I'm like, dude, thank you, because it
mm.
truly is, it's a sacrifice. It's a calling, that they and their family are in. And, and leadership, especially when you're in Commissioner Quinn's level. I mean, you're getting scrutinized all the time. I mean, there's nothing that you can do that you're going to be celebrated for, and everything that you don't do, they're going to tear apart. And I can't imagine being in that role and feeling like, my goodness, what's the point here? So I love hearing that you've had such a great experience, and that doesn't surprise me at all. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jen, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to add that it is, I compare it to like the Titanic, right? We know
Yeah.
that we should have turned a long time ago.
Right.
We know we should have not hit that iceberg a long time ago,
Yeah.
but we can't. It's not one person's responsibility. It really is every person in our state has to stand.
Yes.
It can't be fully on the state. It can't be fully on one organization or two organizations.
Right.
We have to come together as a community to fix this problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so good. Jen,
That is
thoughts?
good.
Jump in.
Yeah. I'm like taking it all in. I love it. Yeah, just amazing, amazing things that you're doing. I know we talked a lot about the Pathline and the Path Home. How about your home in Smyrna? How's that going? Wins, challenges?
Yeah.
Would just love to hear about that.
So we've had it open since I think towards the beginning of this year. Three young ladies stayed there. They have
Mm,
all since moved out. Two moved into their own apartments, which progressed forward and progressed quickly.
great.
And one of the young ladies moved to Florida to be with some family that's closer down there. So the good thing was when the young ladies arrived, none of them had driver's license or
Hmm.
cars. Quickly, like we're talking within 30 days, we had driver's
Hmm.
license. We started working with cars, and we work with Mechanics on a Mission, which is an incredible organization.
Mm,
And if you don't know about that program, but they take cars that need some love, but are not going to be your new, $50,000 cars, make them to where they're going to run smoothly,
hmm.
safely. And then we pay part of the costs. And the youth puts in $500 that they save up on their own. So we have
Oh, that's
skin in
awesome.
the game of their own vehicle. They
It's
are
good.
responsible for their insurance. So we got the young ladies the cars, or one of them needed a car, their driver's license. Everyone was working and progressed quickly. Challenges. I mean, you get three young ladies in any situation.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you've had young adults or teenage girls, so you're going to have those normal living in an apartment or a home together, figuring those kind of interrelationships and conflict resolution together. It's tough because Smyrna doesn't have a bus system. So
Mm,
transportation before the driver's license, before the
yeah.
transportation came
Yeah.
along was a challenge. Um, so before they had that, jobs. So everything was either walkable or a very low cost Uber ride, which we provided for them until they were
Mhm.
able to find or obtain transportation. So you have your normal challenges that our youth are seeing all across the state.
Right.
So our microcosm of our home is exactly that.
Right.
It's shining a light on the broader issue.
Yeah.
So since those three young ladies have moved forward, the home is now open again. And we're taking three young men this time because we've had more young men that are needing housing currently.
Right.
So those applications are currently open.
That's awesome. I
That's
love
great.
that.
And we
That's
expect the
so
same
good.
challenges.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
right. That's it.
Well, you made my day, Carrie. At least we're not alone because our biggest challenge is transportation too. So
Right. Always
we
transportation.
share the same pain.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's everything. I don't think we quite understand the housing that they can afford
Mhm.
usually is not in a bus area or an area that has cheap Ubers. And so it is constant costs
Yeah.
and constant challenge of getting them to point A to point B.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
we've had
true.
such great partnership with companies that are willing to employ our girls and give them, job experience for their resume.
Yeah.
But they're so far and the Ubers are so expensive. So definitely an ongoing challenge for sure.
Yeah. And that's always one that I'm so grateful. Like, oh, we have a job or, oh, we have this opportunity. I'm like, fantastic. Where are you? And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's $40 a day,
Right.
one way
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And the surge prices can happen. And that becomes financially tough for our organization, as you are very well aware,
Yeah.
which means it becomes not feasible.
Right.
So it's a constant puzzle piece. So we're hoping what we're really wanting is the young men that are coming into the path home next
Hmm.
are a little bit more prepared to move quicker and
Yeah.
having their transportation acquired, or perhaps they already have transportation. Um, that's what our
Yeah.
challenge is. And it's our challenge to figure out with the youth that are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That's so good. Man, I just love what y'all are doing. And, obviously the space is dear to my heart. Tell me big vision. Like, we're kind of coming into about 35 minutes, maybe about 10 minutes left. I'd love to hear. I'm a big vision guy. I'm sure you are too. Anybody that's in this, any business or anything they've started, I mean, you have to have vision. So tell me a little bit about what is the vision, and what you're looking forward to. Maybe man, this is the dream. This is what we'd love to do 10 years from now. I
Oh.
mean, money's no option. This is what we're going for.
Well, I would like, where do you want me to start? I want a path home in every community so that
Mhm.
teens that are in foster care can stop bouncing. If we
Yeah.
can do that, we're going to solve a lot of the problems that we're seeing right now with trauma and behaviors becoming actions that become problems later on. I want to see the transportation question be
Mhm.
solved earlier and more efficiently. So getting their driver's license, getting them access to vehicles that they can afford. I would love to have the Pathline grow. And I say all this, John, and you know this, Jennifer, you know this. It takes finances.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of
Takes a lot. Takes a
finances.
lot. Yeah,
If
it
we
does.
think about raising our own kids
Yes.
and the costs,
Mhm.
exponentially multiply that
Mhm.
times 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, because every youth that comes to us with one need,
Mhm.
there's a list of needs behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't just stop and say, okay, you got your sneakers.
Right.
Yeah.
How many kids just need a sneakers and nothing else?
Yes.
Wow.
And so the cost of raising multiple children at the same time, supporting them as they're becoming adults,
Mhm.
is a daunting but worthwhile effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
And I
true.
think that's what we all understand. It just never
Yes.
stops.
Yeah.
Yes.
How is your first off, love your vision. Man, I pray that forward. I love that. Absolutely. Tell me, how has your relationship been with just like local church partners as a whole? Have you found that they are engaged, they're quick to meet the need? Feel free to speak candidly to that because I know that can be a um, whole nother challenge in and of itself sometimes.
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking that question. It's one I love to answer, and it's hard to answer sometimes because when we started, there wasn't a lot of opening doors.
Okay.
There was a lot of, well, you're not faith-based. And I said, no, we're faith-friendly. And
Oh, great.
here's the
You're not
situation.
faith based.
We're not faith-based.
It's funny.
We're faith-friendly because our kids come first.
Right.
And their traumas mean more to me. So I'm going to show them however I want to show them by my actions
Hmm.
what love is,
Yeah.
what commitment is, by my actions.
Mm.
So church can be an absolute trigger. Faith can be an absolute
Yeah.
trigger. And we
Absolutely.
cannot turn our kids away because they're too afraid to come to us if I'm faith based.
Hmm.
But if I say, look, I'm faith friendly, come to us.
Hmm.
And if faith is something that is important to you or you want to learn something about, fantastic. Church on every corner. Tell me what you're looking for. we're gonna
Right.
we're gonna find you a home.
Right.
If it's something that you're afraid of, not a problem.
Hmm.
Look how we act.
Hmm.
Look how we love. Look how we commit. And you can draw your own conclusions of what that means.
Yeah. It's great.
So we're going to start there. Now, on our Sunday dinners, we pray over our food.
Hmm.
And we always say, yep, bow your head, close your eyes, don't close your eyes, but we're going to take a moment and give thanks.
Mm.
So the beginning, it wasn't wide open doors. It was
Mhm.
like, oh, well, if you're not faith-based, we can't support you.
Mm.
But the more they understand and the more we explain about traumas and barriers to support and how we need to say, watch us, watch our actions
Yep.
first,
Yep.
that is leading,
Yeah.
that is love, and that is stability and commitment. And that is what we want them to see.
Yeah. That's
The
great.
rest
Yeah.
will come naturally.
Mhm. That's so
That's
good.
good.
Yeah, I always love to take these moments and, I probably get myself into trouble sometimes. I have the privilege of serving as a pastor and, in the nonprofit space as well too. And I think, I always want to take a moment when I hear someone like you share, when you first start and, you get these questions of, well, you're not faith based, so I can't support you, or just kind of these closed doors. And I hope people can hear me on this when they're listening. The church by default is always saying, "Hey, you got to tithe 10%." Like, "Hey, you got to give your money to the house." I'm all about that. But here's what I'll challenge churches, anybody that's listening that may be in this space. If you're driving your congregation to do that, well, then you have to flip that back and you have to make sure that you're taking care of people that are providing the direct services so that the community can move forward too. So it's not
Yeah.
one or the other, it's both. And so
It
the
Yeah.
pastor's responsibility at that point with the funds coming in is to say, okay, who is doing the great work in our community, faith based or faith friendly, and being able to say they're meeting needs to our most vulnerable leaders. And we want to empower them so that they can truly become who God's called them to be, even if that they're not in that space yet. You're going to
Yeah.
have so many nuances of kids. The waters are so muddy. And we know
Yeah.
that even when we read the stories of Jesus, whether you believe in Jesus or not, you read them. I mean, he didn't come and say, "Hey, if you're faith based, I can support you." He came, he sat with them. If you're faith based, I'll lay my life down for you. No, he just said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve. And so he's coming
Yeah.
and he's sitting with people and talking with people and taking the journey with people. And those waters are muddy and they take time, but it's such a responsibility for the local church to identify who is in this area that's doing great work and being able to learn from them and then support them. And then the relationship is not transactional, but it's like, hey, here, yes, we know you need money financially to make these things. We want to be part of that because that honors God for our church and what people are giving towards. But also, man, how do we partner you with volunteers? Maybe a house parent comes up through the local church or fill in the
Yeah.
blank. And I think the faith based community has such a weapon to be able to bring support to these spaces. And man, anyone listening on this side of it, man, please step into it, because you have places like Jonathan's Path who
Yes.
are doing great work. And I mean, think of how you could push them forward in fast ways, expediting their work. So, man, just championing you all in that truly.
Yes.
And hopefully the pastors can hear me with a, a graceful heart on that. But I'm so passionate about that. I'm fortunate
Yeah.
enough to come from a church and work in a church that is incredibly generous in this space. And we do have some incredible churches that are so
Yes.
generous. But I'll
Yes.
tell you this: if you were have to taken away what they have done, we would not be where we are. Like
Correct.
if it was
Yeah.
just specifically on what our just businesses and grants, we would not be where we are.
Yeah.
It's the churches that have pushed it forward financially and through volunteerism. So I champion you forward in that, my friend, for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
It
Yes.
took a couple years to help everyone understand that we're not
Yeah.
turning faith away. We're actually
Yes.
making it
Yeah.
easier for our kids to come
Come
forward.
on. I love that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love that.
That's great.
Man, well, Carrie, we're so honored by you. I want to honor your time. And just, I know you got so much going on. Just thank you so much for all that you do. Again, just so everyone listening, how do they connect with you guys? What's the easiest way to connect? Churches want to connect, volunteers want to connect. Where would you push them to so that they can get involved, so that they can give to y'all?
Yeah, they can come to the website. All of our information is on there. I think my phone number is on there about 14 times, so don't hesitate to call it. You can also come through the Pathline. Sometimes people reach out in the contact us. And it's also, my email is carrie@jonathanspath.org.
Love it. Love it.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you, Carrie. God bless you guys. I know our paths will continue to cross,
Yes.
that we're in this space, and such a huge fan of all of your team. I know you just hired a dear friend, Carissa Pearlstone, which she is absolutely incredible. So glad
Right?
that she is in this
Yes.
space. She's so passionate about it. What
Mm-hmm.
a legend. And so you got some great people on your team that have
Yes.
huge hearts. And man, I hope they just keep your arms lifted and just provide energy and encouragement to you and your husband and Taylor. And I mean, we just pray blessings over y'all. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for having me. And thank you for the work that you guys do and the partnership that we have. It means the world.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
man. It's,
Thank you so much, Carrie.
I think you and I were texting back and forth and saying, our kind of our favorite quotes, and what you tell your team, what we tell ours, is that you can accomplish anything if you don't care who gets the credit. And
That's
it's
right.
so true. The tribal instinct between churches and nonprofits, that has to end. There's no way one nonprofit can do it all. It's really that kind of savior mentality, if you will, which
Yeah.
is just crazy. Nobody can do it alone. You can't. It's
No,
impossible. There's
it
not
is absolutely impossible.
impossible. So we're in it together, friend. And man, again, just blessings to y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Carrie.
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.